When taking a penalty, recent evidence suggests that there is a significant advantage in being left-footed. But what is this advantage, and why does it exist? You wondered why a penalty has an expected goal value of 0.78. It's because on average 78% of penalties are scored. But in the Premier League this season, the conversion rate is almost 92%, 44 goals from 48 penalties. Variance might explain that. Premier League penalty conversion rates have been as low as 65.5% in 2001-2 and as high as 83.9% in 2013-14. There are periods when players score or miss more. That's normal. The recent spike could be the result of a law change ahead of the 2019-20 season, which required goalkeepers to stay on the goal line before the kick was taken, minimizing their movement. It takes professional goalkeepers between 0.6 to 1 second to dive to the corners from the center of the goal. And penalties can reach the goal as quickly as 0.4 seconds, so being pinned to the line compounds the attacking advantage. Additionally, penalty takers may be getting used to long VAR delays, which have been attributed to lower conversion rates in the past, as the time delay can heighten anxiety. An influx of quality penalty takers might explain the phenomenon, as would the departure of the league's best penalty-saving goalkeepers, or the reverse for bad takers or savers. But neither has happened. There is a second standout penalty trend this season: the number of left-footed penalties. Of the 48 penalties in the Premier League this season, 23 have been taken by left-footers, already more than in 26 of 31 previous seasons. Proportionately, because there is not an equal number of penalties taken in each season, 47.9% of this season's penalties have been taken by left-footers, set to be the highest on record and well above the 19.4% competition average. Since 2018-19, the number of left-footed penalties has steadily risen. In 3 seasons between 2018-19 and 2020-21, there were 30 combined. This season has already eclipsed the left-footed penalty total from 2021-22 and is only 2 away from last season's total. This is ultimately down to 2 correlations: a notably high conversion rate and a disproportionate number of left-footed penalties. Trying to assess causality is complex. Penalties can be rigorously tested, though. Football is an open sport with constantly moving parts and 22 players, but penalties are as closed a skill as you will find. The ball and the players are always in the same places, the distance is unchanged, the ball is static, and the taker has 1 touch to score. Since the 2019-20 law changes, left-footers have scored 84.7% of Premier League penalties, over 5% higher than right-footers. The left-footers could just be better penalty takers, but this seems unlikely, as they and right-footers miss at almost identical rates: 6.1% for right-footers, 6.5% for left-footers. The difference is actually in save rates. Goalkeepers save 14.4% of right-footed penalties, but only 8.7% of left-footed ones. The infrequency of left-footers explains their advantage. Academics call it a negative frequency-dependent hypothesis. Because there are fewer left-footed footballers, goalkeepers learn mostly against right-footers, which completely inverts the angles and trajectories for penalties and diving. On top of this, in time-pressured situations such as penalties, goalkeepers will fall back on learned behaviors. Just shy of 1/5 of Premier League penalties have been left-footed since 2019-20, almost identical to the rate across the history of the competition. A 1996 study of English Football League players found that anticipation to right-footed penalty kicks was significantly better than to left-footed kicks. And it was further ratified by interviews with goalkeepers who noted difficulty perceiving the cues from the left-footed kickers. In an era of unprecedentedly extensive opposition analysis, typically manifesting in water bottles detailing the locations of penalties by opposition takers, difficulties in predicting left-footers should be minimal and relatively equal to right-footers. But since the start of 2021-22, Premier League goalkeepers have dived the right way 41% of the time against right-footed penalties, regardless of the shot outcome, compared to 30% against left-footers. That sample feels big enough, inclusive of penalties under the new penalty laws, but also excluding behind closed doors games during the pandemic, given the psychological nature of penalties. Shot placement also throws up some differences. Since 2021-22, just over 1/3 of left-footed penalties have been into the bottom left corner, over double the proportion across the goalkeeper into the bottom right corner. Each penalty and penalty taker is different, but greater consistency from left-footers should make them theoretically easier to defend against. Comparatively, right-footers show a greater spread, targeting either bottom corner at almost identical rates. And yet goalkeepers still find left-footers harder to predict. The overrepresentation of left-sided athletes is not new in invasion sports. The term given to sports in which the aim is to invade an opponent's territory by scoring points or goals. Similar overrepresentation has been found in facets of handball and cricket. Southpaw boxers who lead with the right foot and hand, hitting harder with their left, also won more often at the London 2012 Olympic Games. In football, it certainly remains good to be left-footed. The likelihood is that the overall penalty conversion rate will drop this season, but given that many teams possess a high-quality left-footed penalty taker, 2023-24 should still easily see a record amount of left-footed penalty